Everybody doing?
Good.
I like your shirt.
How are you?
Yeah, thank you. Very nice. Beautiful day out there. I appreciate you guys coming again to support and cover Penn State football. We appreciate it. I'll do a quick review of the previous game and then get into our opponent this week, obviously. Our Idaho offensive players of the week from the coach's perspective. On offense was Jahan Dotson and Pat Fryermuth. On defense was Cam Brown and John Reed. And then on special teams was Jordan Stout and Jonathan Sutherland. So, really excited about those guys, what they were able to do on Saturday. Want to continue to build on that. Obviously, the injury of the Buffalo player, Evan, you never want to see that happen in college football or really any sports. I got a chance to go over and see the family and the young man, and seems to be doing well in good spirits. I think that kicker, specialist, long snapper community is tight. They all know each other, so a bunch of our guys were over there supporting him as well. So we wish him and his family nothing but the best and a speedy recovery. Obviously, this game, we're excited about the opportunity. Excited about, obviously from a historical perspective, what this game has meant to this state and the college football. From a geographical perspective, we get it as well. The same discussion that comes up all the time is, how we approach these games, and we don't approach them any different. That will never change. Do we understand that this is a big game to the media and to the fans and to the lettermen and to college football? Yeah. We're not burying our heads in the sand. We understand the significance and the impact of this game, but our approach does not change. We believe Sunday through Friday that we are going to prepare the same week in and week out. It doesn't matter who you're playing or what you're doing or where the game is going to be played or what the weather is going to be like. None of those things change. So we're excited about the opportunity to play Pitt on Saturday in our stadium. Obviously, we need our fans to create a really, really challenging environment. We have an opportunity to have a distinct home field advantage at our place. We've averaged 104,000 for the first two games. We need that thing to be busting at the seams. I think we've had as high as 110. We need that on Saturday, and we need the players on the field to feel that 110,000. I want everybody in the state to feel that 110,000. So, we are blessed and we are fortunate to play at Penn State. We are blessed and fortunate to have the type of support and fan base that we have. We need that stadium rocking on Saturday at 12 o'clock like no stadium's ever rocked before. So that's my challenge. We got to do this together. Obviously, Coach Narduzzi, got a lot of respect for him. As a football coach, he's done a phenomenal job. That team has taken on his personality. They're physical, they're tough, they're hard-nosed. Obviously, that shows up on the defensive side of the ball, the style of defense that they play. He's been doing it for a long time. They've been doing it at a high level. For a while there was a period of time in college football, excuse me, probably 4 to 6 years where everybody was trying to copycat their style of defense, what he's done at Pitt and what they did at Michigan State. But obviously he's done a tremendous job. Obviously you look at his success at Pitt. You look at two significant upsets over Miami and over Clemson, the number 2 ranked teams in the country. So they're gonna be used to playing these types of games in these types of environment. 15 starters returning. You also get into this situation with new NCAA rules and guys leaving one program and going to another. So we have a young man that was part of our program for 4 years, John Patrician, who's now at Pitt. So when that happened, we knew that we were going to have to make some changes at that point. So we have changed. We didn't wait until this week to do it. We did it right when that was announced. But obviously we had to change all of our signals. especially on defense and on offense as well, but especially on defense, because he knows all of our signals and those types of things. So that was something we had to do right away. Obviously, again, talking about, this game meaning a lot to people. We got guys like Marcus Allen, who's with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and obviously in that facility all the time, so he's going to hear it. It's going to be very, very important to him. Me and Marcus have talked a bunch already. We'll continue to talk all week long. We've got Tom Bradley that's there. Obviously, this game's going to be really important to him, so he can walk around town and walk around that facility. But I'm going to talk to Tom all week long, and then John Norwig as well. So those guys, I know it's extra important to them based on where they're at. We'll see how that goes. Kind of get into offensively, Mark Whipple, a guy that's been in the profession for a long time, very well known and respected. Mark's been a offensive coordinator or head coach almost in the entirety of his career. Him and Coach Spence worked together at UMass for a number of years and has done a great job and has got great experience. I think you're still going to see Pat Narduzzi's personality all over that offense in terms of running the football, but obviously Mark's got great experience both in the run game and in the pass game. 5 returners starting on that side of the ball. There are multiple formations, multiple personnel groups, tempos. Fullback will be involved as well. They're going to play with an extra tackle. So they'll have 6 offensive linemen on the field. They'll go 11 personnel, they'll go 22 personnel, they'll go 21 personnel. We've been impressed by Kenny Pickett, A.J. Davis, Maurice French, and Taysir Mack. Taysir, started his career at Indiana and has now been at Pitt for the last 2 years. Randy Bates, obviously, again, got a lot of respect for this defense, how they play. He also was at Northwestern before that. Got a lot of respect for Northwestern and their program and what they do on the defensive side of the ball. 6 starters returning there. Base front, they're a 4-3 defense. They will go to a 3-down defense on 3rd and 5 or more. Shows up there. And then coverage, they're what we call a cover 4 quarters defense, where the 4 defensive backs will all have a quarter of the field. A lot of times they'll play press on the 2 outside receivers, be very aggressive at the line of scrimmage, very hands-on, very, very physical at the line of scrimmage. And then they'll play variations of some fire zone coverages as well. We've been impressed with Mr. Twyman, the defensive tackle, Kylan Johnson, a linebacker number 28, their cornerback number 11, Dane Jackson, and then obviously we're very familiar with DeMar Hamlin and Paris Ford through the recruiting process and what they've done at Pitt so far. And then special teams, I think it's been one of the strengths of their team really for the last 4 years. Andre Powell, who I know very well, does a great job with them on special teams. They got 4 starters returning in those units in terms of specialists. Got a lot of respect for Andre and what they do, playing complementary football there. So that's my notes. I didn't mention, I apologize, the special teams player of the week last week was Isaac Lutz. So I apologize for missing Mr. Lutz. Played extremely well. Is doing some really, really good things, and there's a lot of excitement and buzz in our program about Isaac and what he brings to our team, specifically in special teams. He's a guy that wants to own that. That's where he knows he can make the most significant impact on our team, and is doing a tremendous job with that right now.
Rich Scarcella, Running Eagle.
Good afternoon, James.
Hey, Rich.
Why was Buffalo so successful on 3rd down, and how can the defense improve in those situations?
Yeah, I think first of all, they're very well coached. They got a really good plan. I think a lot of their 3rd down success came from early 1st and 2nd down success. They were going to run the ball even if they got 2-3 yards. They were going to try to stay on schedule as much as they possibly could. It's interesting when you watch the game. We hit our run goal of yards per attempt in the running game, but they were able to stay on schedule. So they created a bunch of 3rd and shorts, 3rd and manageable situations where they had the ability to run or pass. They also kept their tight ends and backs in, or they slow released them and chipped them out on the way out, so we weren't able to get consistent pressure on the quarterback. It's one of the first times that I can remember in a long time where we lost the sack battle. Our defense does such a good job of creating pressure on the quarterback, but they had a really good plan. They executed really well for that first half. We were able to make some adjustments at halftime. We got to be able to make those adjustments with a young team. Throughout the game, in between series, we can't wait to halftime to go in, but that's what it took with this young team. And then once we were able to come out with some adjustments made, with explaining to them what they were doing and how they were trying to do it, really in all three phases, then I thought we were able to make some progress in the second half and grow.
Derek Lavar, Spokesman Times leader.
Hi, James. How are you?
Hey, Derek.
James, what kind of progress have you seen from the wide receiver group year ago, and how important is it for them to get off that aggressive press the line that show them?
Yeah, I think that's a big battle in this game, our wide receivers versus their defensive backs and how physical they play at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, we got three different, wide receivers that are starting for us, and Justin Shorter is 230 pounds, and then you got obviously KJ Hamler and Jahan Dodson, that aren't 230 pounds. So they're all going to have to win differently, and then we got other guys that we're going to rotate in there as well. But that's going to be a big battle in this game is how our guys are able to get off of press, how our guys are going to be physical in the running game as well. That's going to be a big challenge in this game. But I like how our wide receivers are progressing. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're more experienced. And I think Jared does a great job from a fundamental and a technique standpoint, but also culturally. He's done a really good job, just with that room, their mentality, their approach, and a lot of different things. So very pleased with that group, but we're going to need them to play well on Saturday. That'll be a big challenge, as we know. Coach Narduzzi and this defense, they do not want you to run the ball. They don't want you to run for 1 yard. With how they play their box, trying to get that field backer into the box, folding in back in late as much as possible, and those safeties are downhill run support guys that are going to add on, and then obviously they're playing pretty much press man at the corners. So it's a challenge. It's an in-your-face style of defense. The linebackers are downhill as soon as they get their reads, which makes it difficult to stay on double teams. Your offensive linemen have to come off and climb on a linebacker quickly. That's part of their design. That's what they want you to do. It's a good scheme. There's no doubt about it. We're excited for the challenge.
Mark Williams, Channel Town Morning Call.
Hi, James. How are you?
Good, Mark. How are you?
Good, thanks. You mentioned changing signal earlier. How long did that take to do for the coaching staff, and how long did it take for your players to learn that?
Well, if we would have waited to this week, it would have been problematic. I don't think you wait, until this week. It's no different. You guys, have been coming to practice all during camp. If you wait to deal with crowd noise the week of a game like this, it's going to be a problem. I learned that very early on in my career. My first year as a coordinator going to West Virginia, I learned that. You got to work crowd noise right from the beginning in camp and allow it to build and get guys used to it and adjusted to it. And it's the same way with the signals. To think you're going to be able to change your signals in a week, it's not going to happen. So as soon as that was announced that that's where he was going, we had to get with our guys and come up with new signals for everything that we do, either new signals or multiple signals for everything that we do. So it's again, the fact that we did it right away, we've had plenty of time to get it done, and now our guys are comfortable.
Frank Bodani, York Daily Record.
And let me say one more thing. We've already done it the first 2 weeks, so that helps.
Frank.
Hey, James. How are you?
Hey, Frank. Sorry about that.
No problem. Your cornerbacks. Could you first maybe describe a little bit about what level Pastor Field playing on to start the season, and how valuable is it to have two guys who started that experience? Some ways that maybe they help you that we don't even maybe see easily or readily out there on the field.
Yeah, we think that we got two of the better corners, in the country. We really do, not just the conference, but the country. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now. They're really playing well in both the run and pass game. And then, you know, as you guys have seen the first two games, not just at the corner position, but you know, throughout our defense, we've been rotating a lot of guys. We've done that on offense as well, and that was the plan going into the first two games, to create depth, to gain some guys some experience so later in the year, you know, they've played and know what it takes to be successful at this level. So I think you'll probably see a little bit less rotation than you did the first two games. But those two guys are leading by example in terms of you know, their approach to practice, their approach to games, their demeanor on the sideline, reinforcing things with Terry in the meeting rooms. They've been really impressive. I couldn't be happier for John Reed. He's a guy that's really built his entire career the right way. He's a man-made guy. He's earned everything that he's gotten. And I'm really happy for him, and I just think this year is just going to continue to grow. He is playing at a really high level right now, is extremely confident, can run with people, can tackle, has got tremendous instincts, and studies the game as good as anybody. So I'm really pleased with him. And then, you know, obviously Castro is really coming on. We thought that he would have a chance to have a big time year for us this year. So far, it looks that way.
James, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the challenge of defending or slowing Maurice French from Pittsburgh, not only as a receiver, but also in the return game.
Yeah, he's a dynamic player. We recruited him. He's a dynamic player. He's had a great career there. I think in a lot of ways they go the way he goes. You know, he's a momentum guy for him. He's an impact guy on offense and special teams in a lot of ways, like KJ is for us. So yeah, we have to know where he is. It's a great challenge. We try to identify guys each week on defense. Here are a few guys that we know if we're not aware of where they're at, they can have a significant impact in the game. On special teams, who those players are. Same thing on defense. You know, our offense is saying who are the guys that we better have a plan for, whether it's a defensive end, whether it's a D tackle, whether it's a corner, whatever it is. You better have an awareness of who those guys are, and you better have a plan for them. And he's one of those guys. There's no doubt about it. It's not just about the scheme and scheme alone. It's personnel and scheme. And a lot of times it probably is or should be more about the personnel.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good.
I'm good. You know, I think you've talked about this in the past, having family in Western Pennsylvania, growing up in Eastern Pennsylvania, you know, being a kid, you know, when you were a kid, this rivalry was at its zenith. You know, what does it mean? You know, what does it mean to you, and what are your memories from it?
Yeah, you know, again, the hard part is when I really got into college football. I mean, really got into it, watching it, studying it, things like that. When I was young, I was go out and play all day, not really sit in and watch sports. This game, you know, again, you got to remember, most of our players before, you know, the last 4 years had never even seen it, you know. So, you know, for me, you know, obviously, I grew up just outside of Philadelphia, but my dad is from the Hill District. All my Thanksgivings, all my Christmases, most of my summers were spent there. My grandfather drove a jitney. He cleaned out a historical jazz bar at night called the Crawford Grill every night, which is a famous, it's not there anymore in the Hill like it was. My best friend comes up to every single game, Keith Gardner. I call him Mighty. You guys have probably seen him around. I literally didn't know his name for probably 15 years. I thought it was Mighty. My cousin Karen works at Pitt, works on Pitt's campus. You know, so I got a lot of ties there. You know, in that part of the state, and specifically in that city. You know, I remember being in the Veterans Hospital, overlooking the stadium, looking at the stadium when the stadium was on campus. You know, so yeah, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history, you know, with these two schools, obviously with the state, and I got tremendous respect for the University of Pittsburgh, for their program, for their history, all the great players that they've had come out of there. I also think there's aspects, and people say, that's college football. I think there's also aspects of this game that bring out the worst of both fan bases and populations. And I know some people may say that's good. I don't know if that's good. I think we can have a great game without all that other stuff. So we're looking forward to playing the game on Saturday, but there's no doubt about it. I got friends and family that are going to be going back there. But I also got friends and family. I'll admit that this game they support Penn State, but the rest of the year they're going to support Pitt. Which I'm perfectly fine with people supporting their hometown team. Jamal Griffin used to work here. I make fun of him all the time because he literally every sport he's got a different team in a different part of the country. Like he's from Baltimore. His football team was the Cowboys. Had never been to Dallas in his life, but that was his team. I'd make fun of him and say Lakers was his basketball, but it wasn't. But I think you support your in-state team.
Hey James, it's because the Cowboys are on at 4 o'clock. Can't get away from it.
That's right.
You mentioned earlier how explosive.
You a Cowboys fan?
No, Lord no. No.
I don't know if you were endorsing that.
No, I'm a Buffalo guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Everyone feels bad. Yeah. We're everywhere.
We have strong ties to Buffalo with the Pagulas. So
yeah. You just don't know we're around. We're quiet about it. You mentioned how explosive you've been, especially on first and second down. How do you balance wanting to take shots and wanting to be explosive versus staying on schedule and I guess just the philosophy of how many shots you want to take in a game, and how does Ricky's personality as a play caller kind of factor into all that?
I think that's a really good question because I will tell you that's how most coaches were probably raised in the industry, is about staying on schedule. Unless you come from certain family trees, most people were about staying on schedule, creating manageable third down situations. What are you trying to do on first down? I'm trying to get 4. What are you trying to get on second down? I'm trying to get half so I can create manageable third down situations. What am I trying to do up there? Third down, obviously convert. Fourth down, convert. Ultimately score touchdowns, be efficient in the red zone, all those types of things. But I think as people have really got into analytics and studying what is the most impactful thing to winning football games, there are 2 stats that dramatically are ahead of everything else. And that's creating explosive plays on offense. It's eliminating explosive plays on defense. And it's the turnover battle. Those 2 things. In the old days, what was the other one that everybody talked about? Time of possession. Well, that is shown to not really been as big of a factor when it comes specifically to the greatest impact on winning. So, I think it's changed. People were raised on staying on schedule. But the reality is you better be aggressive and you better push the ball down the field. There's a fine line to those stats because I think some of those analytics people tell you should go for every single 4th and 1, whether you're on the -1 or the +1. I think, like I've told you guys before, I think it is a valuable piece of information, but that's what it is. It's a piece of information. It's not the end-all be-all.
Hey James, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Week 1, you faced a team that was preparing 2 quarterbacks to play. Last week, it was a guy who had 10 passes in his college career. To have someone like Pickett who has the more extensive track record, what does that allow your defense to do in preparation?
Well, I think last week was a really interesting one because literally we all saw in my opinion, we all saw a high-level quarterback for Buffalo that I think is going to win them a bunch of games. Was really good in the run game, was really good in the pass game, was big, strong, good decision maker. They obviously went into game 1 saying they weren't going to show that and only threw the ball 10 times in that game. So there was a lot of question marks and mystery of what we were going to get in game 2. Did they not throw the ball because they didn't feel like he was ready? Or were they holding something back and saving? I think we found out that they were saving. Obviously with Pickett, we got a lot more film to watch and be aware of and to study, not just from this season, but from last season as well. So yeah, that's helpful. I think obviously the more information you have in any decision-making process, in any industry, the better decisions you can make. So for us on special teams, we typically go back 5 years studying guys. On offense and defense, it's usually about 4 games to get as much information as we can, and then we'll go even further if we need to for similar opponents. On special teams, you usually go deeper because you have so many less reps. So, obviously, I think there's value in that. We got a better idea of who he is.
James, you mentioned making halftime adjustments with the younger team, which is very reminiscent to the 2016 team, kind of the similar storyline early and later in that year because they were pretty much always a second half team for the most part. What's the biggest challenge in getting a team to a point where it can make adjustments in the first half? And did you learn anything from that season where that was sort of the ongoing thing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is getting guys, young guys that are on the sideline, that are emotional, that there's offense going on, there's jumbotrons going on, the fans are going crazy. You're on the sideline with a grease board talking about what they're doing, and where I probably need to do a better job of articulating this. It's not just the coaches. It's not just the coaches making adjustments to the players. The first thing is getting feedback from the players. And what's amazing is as players get older, the more accurate information you get. Right now with Michael Bennett, when he comes to the sideline, he can tell us exactly what's happening, and it aligns with exactly what they're telling us in the booth. Because sometimes what we're hearing in the booth isn't exactly what's happening. So when you're able to connect those two things, so making the adjustments is getting the information from the players, and then also being able to make the adjustments based on what's being told in the booth, and then getting them to digest that information and be able to translate it onto the field when the jumbotrons are going, the noise is going, the play's going. There's noise and fans and stuff everywhere, and as you know, in some ways it may be better to make the adjustments, have all of them bring their cell phones and do it that way on the sideline because they're not used to the eye-to-eye contact and conversations. And I just think that comes with time. It comes with time to get really valuable, accurate information from them about what's happening. And then also for us to be able to take the information from them and what we're being told in the booth and then make the adjustments. Because the other information is, are they playing how we thought they were playing? Okay, on first and second down, this is what we expect them to be. Third down, this is what we expect them to be. Red zone, this is what we expect them to be. Now, early in the game, are they playing to what our studies have showed us? Or do they have a game plan that they've been working on all summer specifically for this game, and they're going to show us things that we have not seen before? And you need to find that information out as soon as you possibly can. That's why a lot of people that script the opening drive of a game. Well, why do you do that? Because you think these are your best plays in the game, but it's also, you want to line up an empty once to find out as soon as possible, are they lining up to empty how we thought? Are they lining up to FIB formation into the boundary the way we thought? So if you can show all these different 12 personnel, 11 personnel, 10 personnel, whatever it may be, now you can find out quickly, are they playing how we thought they were playing? If you don't line up an empty until the second quarter, you don't know if they're following the empty plan that we have. So a lot of times when people script, they're scripting out all those situations to find out as soon as you can, are they playing how we thought they were going to play in all these different situations? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And all that information you're trying to get so we can make great decisions, but you're also trying to get the information from the players and then give them valuable information back that they can digest and put to work as quickly as possible on the field.
James, you've been in the coaching profession for a long time now. Have you ever been in a situation before where you had a veteran player transfer to a future opponent like this? And do you think, can that have a big impact on the game?
Well, obviously the profession has changed. I mean, the graduate transfer rule changed a few years ago. This year what happened, with everybody across the country, with the new rules, the transfer portal, those things, it's changed things. This is exactly why, for years, coaches were against, the transferring within conferences or games on your schedule. I think the problem with it is that, as we all know, some people abused it, and they were denying kids everywhere that they wanted to go, and that shouldn't happen. But what happened was we overcorrected. We went from being able to deny them everywhere to now not being able to deny them anywhere. So it's problematic. I mean, that's why people have no competes and things like that. But you know, it is what it is, and if that's in the best interest of the student athlete, then we'll adjust. You know, then we'll adjust, which is what we've done. You know, we adjust as soon as it happened. You know, it was we need to adjust. We need to adjust right now. We need to adjust right now.
James, you mentioned how many of your players had not grown up with the Penn State Pitt matchup, but what have you seen over the last 3 years with as far as the crowds, the two at Heinz Field, and the one here 2 years ago that has maybe, what have you seen from that, and what's your take on how it has been reignited the last couple of years?
Where are you from?
I'm from PA.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Had you ever seen a Pitt Penn State game?
No.
Never. And that's kind of the same with our entire locker room was. But the games have been awesome. I mean, the games have been awesome. I mean, that first game was an unbelievable game. The environment, I think we had the largest crowd in Heinz Field history for any sporting event. Isn't that correct? I mean, that's pretty cool. You know, that's pretty cool. We've had environments and crowds here that we have probably 2 or 3 times a year, but good, really good. Been very competitive. You know, again, there's some things like I mentioned before that I don't know if it necessarily brings out the best in both fan bases and both teams and both staffs at times, including ours and myself. But there's no doubt about it. I get it, and I understand the significance of it. A lot of it is just bragging rights. People going back to work on Monday. You know, people going, you know, back like I mentioned, you know, going back to Pittsburgh. You know, going back to see family and friends. It's all those types of things. It just hits a little bit closer to home. It's probably a great expression.
We have time for 2 more.
Hey, Neil communicates with us, but it's fine too. We're looking at the accumulation of reps for this defense, and you guys had that 3-game stretch last year where there was like 80 plus snaps. Was there anything that you guys could take away from that? I mean, I know you rotate a lot on Saturday, but them getting up there in the 90s again, is that worrisome, or how do you try?
Yeah, obviously you don't want as least amount of plays as possible, but that's also where the rotation helps. We had a bunch of guys in game 1 play like 17 or 20 plays, you know, and then you get to week 2 and the numbers spiked. But that was a combination of both. That was a combination. Our defense has got to get off the field. That's a combination of our offense has got to stay on the field. You know, all those types of things. And then you can't have a turnover on special teams as well. That doesn't help as well. So it's all of those things. But yeah, we want the number on offense and defense to be as low as possible. You know, I don't know if that's necessarily possible. One's gonna have to have a little bit more in the game. We prefer to be on offense than our defense, but that's where the rotation is so important. Because even in a game where we played 90 plays on defense, you know, we still were able to do a pretty good job with our rotation to help some of those things. And we've made some adjustments this week too. We've moved some guys around. I know the next question is, who do we move around?
One last question for you, James. Last 2 years, you've had pretty good wins in this series. Has that helped you recruiting in Pittsburgh? And 2 parts to that, how big is this game recruiting-wise compared to the rest of your home schedule? I assume Michigan's pretty big. Is this number 2?
Yeah, you know, again, that's a conversation that I hear and see a lot. And a lot of people ask me. I just got asked that at an interview before coming in here and got that same question. And you probably can speak on this as well. I mean, you know, obviously winning helps. The environment helps. But I don't think one game swings you. I don't think kids are choosing Penn State because of one game. I don't think kids are choosing another school because of one game. Do guys want to be a part of winning programs? Yes. Do guys want to play in front of 107,000? Yes. You know, guys want to go to a school where they can get a great education and their parents, that's important to parents. Yeah, all those things factor in. But I don't think one game really trumps that. I mean, you look, you know, that year in 2016 that I think we lost. We had a pretty good season. We had pretty good recruiting classes. that year and the year after that. So I don't know. I don't know if it's as significant as people may think. Do we want to win a game? Yeah. Do we think it helps? Yeah, but I don't think it's the end all be all.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be joined by Antonio Shelton.